Hi, I'm Daniel Gold, and welcome to the Gold Standard Leadership Lab. By day, I'm a partner at a leading advisory firm where I draw upon my background as an attorney to help my clients succeed. This podcast, though, is my personal project, completely separate and apart from my day job, but reflects the same passion that I exhibit everywhere for teaching, mentoring, and helping others succeed through simple, impactful lessons. It is my hope that you'll walk away with practical takeaways to help you on your leadership journey. Thanks for being a part of this community, for joining me in the Leadership Lab. Let's get started. There's one thing we have talked a lot about on the Gold Standard Leadership Lab. The development of great leaders often advances through the smallest moments. Moments such as pausing before answering a question, asking a more meaningful and insightful question of a team member, or shifting from reactive mode to being fully present in the moment and actively listening. These moments impact how you show up, make your team feel appreciated and valued, strengthen trust and connection, which ultimately shapes culture and how people experience you. The challenge is these moments are so easy to miss. The workday moves fast. Conversations between 30-minute video conferencing calls are a blur. And when so many of us do not have even 5-minute breaks between calls, we cannot stop, reflect, and think about not just a quick summary of what transpired and the action items associated with that meeting, but more importantly, how we show up. With so many back-to-back meetings, our memory from one call simply fades. And the issue is how we reflect on our communication with our team and our clients. There is a very simple discipline that can help, and today we're going to discuss and review an effortless practice that costs no money whatsoever and built around curiosity and small steps. A practice that gives you a way to capture one moment and return to it later with a structure and a purpose. When you increase your awareness in small increments, you grow your leadership in real increments. It's what I call the curiosity cycle. And the curiosity cycle seamlessly complements existing leadership models by emphasizing self-awareness and reflection, making it easier for leaders to see its practical value in enhancing communication and also trust. And it has two very simple parts. The first, a quick micro capture during the day, and one weekly reflection that sets the focus for the week ahead. Nothing more, nothing less. The strength of this lies in its consistency, though. So let's talk about part one, micro captures. So I'd like you to purchase a separate notepad. It could be a simple 99-cent notebook that you get from the pharmacy, or it could be a fancy one, your choice. If you prefer digital, that's fine too. You can use an app on your phone with note-taking capabilities, but have a dedicated note that exists for the curiosity cycle. What we are going to do, either analog or digital, is write down a short sentence right after a moment of communication, after a call or an in-person meeting. The idea is simple. We want to write it down while the feeling is still fresh. The reflections or micro captures that we're looking for are just that. They're micro. The first sentence that comes to your mind right after the call, right after the meeting. For instance, it could be something like this. I spoke too fast in the project update. Or the team responded well when I asked a clean question. My answer drifted when timelines came up. The opening framing felt clear. Remember, these are not journal entries. These are anchors for later reflection. Okay, so now that we understand that, part one is the micro capture. Let's talk about part two, which is the weekly reflection. So now that we have accumulated some micro captures at the end of the week, this could be a Friday or this could be over the weekend, review your micro captures and adapt your reflection process to fit your leadership style or specific communication challenges, making the practice more relevant and therefore more effective. In other words, this is about pattern recognition, Maybe you noticed a pattern of rushing your first sentence. You have stronger openings when you slow down. You're quick to ask the following question, but you're missing the critical follow-up clarifying question. Or drifting when conversations grow tense. Once you see a thread, some sort of pattern, take the opportunity to isolate a skill that you believe you could practice in the upcoming week. Focusing on just one small area at a time can help you feel confident and capable, make your growth feel much more manageable and also achievable. The concept of choosing just one is actually backed by the science of habit formation research, and the findings are really clear. When you try to change too much at once, you fail. When you pick one specific measurable change that's quantifiable, something shifts. There was a study by a research group called Clear Thinking. They tracked 477 people as they attempted to form new habits. And this group all tested multiple approaches: reminders, commitment devices, social accountability. And you want to know what the winner was? It was habit reflection. Communication researcher Matt Abrahams has also discussed this idea before, whereby practicing reflection and choosing one thing to improve fosters a habit. So this curiosity cycle that I've created here not only enhances self-awareness, but also evolves from post-speech analysis into real-time leadership moments throughout your entire day, every day. The practice of sitting down weekly to review what you actually did and then identify one specific change you want to make, this improves habit completion when compared to all other tested methods. Okay, let's talk about the why. Reflective review creates two things. The first one is awareness, and the second one is agency. You see the pattern. You choose the change, you own it. When you find the one thing that you want to work on, you write a sentence that names your weekly intention. So similar to the micro capture, I need you to keep it short, as the intent here is not creating a journal entry. So for instance, this week, I keep my first response slow and steady. Or this week, I focus on clean questions. Or this week, I stay grounded when pressure rises. Read the sentence daily. In fact, put it on a sticky note and tape it to your monitor so that you always see it. That way you get to practice it, that way you get to track it, and that way you get to grow from it. So I want to also talk a little bit about the science here because it is very interesting to know. When you tag a moment in real time, something critical happens inside of your brain. You are training your attention. And the research shows that immediate capture of experiences improves the awareness of your own thinking and reduces cognitive load. So over time, your brain learns what to look for and you become alert to the specific moments that actually matter. This is a process called metacognition. Metacognition is the ability to think about your own thinking. It's highly measurable, highly quantifiable. How? Because leaders with high metacognitive awareness make sharper decisions and communicate more adaptively. They notice the patterns that other leaders miss. They can adjust how they are communicating during a conversation in real time by being self-aware. They identify problems right then, not months later in a performance review or a 360 review. Okay, so the reason why this works at a neural level is that metacognition interrupts the autopilot when you pause and you name something as it happens. So when you take a moment to shift from the unconscious reaction to the conscious choice, you're literally rewiring your brain to train the prefrontal cortex to monitor itself. And over time, that monitoring actually becomes second nature. Now, the reason why that works is due to a concept called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. That's right, our brains are literally like plastic, capable of stretching and growing new neural connections. When you train yourself to catch small shifts in real time, you increase the number of neural connections. That then boosts your mental capacity to adjust during conversations. And I'm telling you, leaders who practice regular metacognitive awareness are both better communicators and they're also better decision makers. And at a fundamental level, when you do this, you're quite literally noticing yourself in real time and becoming curious enough to grow as a human. Now, there are 5 things that are happening when you implement this practice. The first, as we just talked about, is the metacognitive awareness. You notice patterns as they occur, not weeks later. The real-time awareness is the foundation for creating meaningful changes. Now, second, it's about training your brain to recognize patterns better. And research shows that pattern recognition across multiple observations is far more potent for driving behavioral change than isolated feedback will ever be. Third, you start practicing intentionality. This is really important. So just like we say, hope is not a strategy in sales, so too is saying, well, I'll just communicate better. When we act with intention and slowing my first response to a 10-second pause as a practice, or take 3 breaths before starting a call, those are all about what separates people who hope to change from people who are self-aware enough to actually do something about it and do the work. Now, fourth, this is also about choosing accountability, but doing so with honesty and care. No manager is watching. These are the quiet moments. You are in an honest conversation with yourself, no one else, about what you saw and what you want to actually change. This creates intrinsic motivation, which is the strongest driver of sustained behavioral change. Now, finally, this approach is akin to one of my favorite productivity methodologies called Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese manufacturing philosophy built on a single idea, which is small, consistent improvements compound into extraordinary results. 1% per week doesn't feel like much, but over a year, that's right, that's a 52% improvement in capability. Now, over 5 years, you become a fundamentally different communicator. We can't expect transformation overnight. It simply doesn't happen. But I'm telling you, a 1% improvement each week compounds over time, making you, your team, and your client all better for it. It's a simple start. And I encourage you to grab that notebook or your phone's note-taking app and start leveraging the curiosity cycle today. And remember, capture just one moment from today, or maybe there's more than one. Just write down one sentence and you'll turn back to it at the end of the week. Then on Friday, after work, read what you wrote and pick one skill. Write that skill down in one sentence and then deploy that practice and watch what happens. Because leaders who grow and excel are the ones who stay curious, not in theory, but in practice. They want to know themselves. They want to understand their impact. They want to speak with clarity and listen with presence. And they want to make progress through small steps that compound over time toward meaningful change. And finally, remember, leadership isn't about perfection. It is about progress. Take this lesson, put it into action, and continue setting the gold standard in your own life and at work. See you all next time.